Into Math 3rd Grade Lesson 4.7, identify number patterns on the multiplication table. I can identify arithmetic patterns in the multiplication table and explain them by using the properties of operations. I can use patterns and properties to find products in a table and to identify products as odd or even. We are going to review some vocabulary that will help us with today's lesson. The first vocabulary is the identity property of multiplication, which states that the product of any number, which is, when we say product, we mean in a multiplication equation, that is the answer, of any factor, and 1 is that number. And they have some examples. So here we have the number 3 multiplied by 1, and the product is going to be that number that was multiplied by 1. And then they have another example here that 1 multiplied by 4 is going to be the product 4, which is the number that was multiplied by 1. Next, we have the zero property of multiplication, which states that the product, again the answer, of 0 and any number is 0. So here are some examples. When we have 0 multiplied by the number 4, our product is going to be 0. And we have another example here where 3 is multiplied by 0 and the product is 0. Next, we will review commutative property of multiplication, which states that you can multiply factors in any order and the product stays the same. So I'm going to provide an example of this property. So we have 2 and 3, the factors 2 and 3, and we know that 2 3 times makes the product 6. Well, this property says that I can take 2 and 3, the factors, and I can change their order. So I can make this 3 times 2, and my answer, or the product, should still be the same, and that is correct. 3 groups of 2 make 6. Please gather your workbook and a pencil and turn to page 108. You can pause if you need. We will begin under Build Understanding, Problem 1. Nan is using patterns and multiplication properties to find products on a multiplication table. So we have quite a bit of work that we need to do. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to zoom in a little bit more so that I have more space. Let's start on part A. Nan uses the identity property to find the products of 1 and 2 and 5 and 1. Use the identity property to find the other products. Okay, so we're taking a look at this multiplication chart that is below Nan, and we see that there's a list of, in blue, 0 through 10, and a multiplication sign in green, and a list of 0 through 10 in yellow. Nan filled out this chart by taking the number 1 right here and multiplying it with the number 2 and putting the product 2 in the chart. Then she took the number 5 right here and multiplied it with the number 1, and she put her answer in the chart right here, which was 5. Now they want us to use the identity property to find the other products. And we can recall that the identity property says that the product of any number that we multiply with 1 is going to give us that number. So if you would like, you can pause and go ahead and fill in the identity property products for the number 1. So you would be filling in the 1 column, which is right here, and also the 1 column that is right here. And if you'd like to try that on your own, you can and come back, or you can follow along with me. So I know that, we'll just take this each by one. 1 times 0 is going to give me 0, and 1 times 1 is going to give me 1. 1 times 3 is going to give me 3. So every time I'm multiplying 1 times a number, it's always going to be the number I multiply it. So I can confidently write these numbers in that I am multiplying 1 with because of the identity property. And now that I've done that horizontally, I'm now going to do that vertically. I'm going to go up and down this time. So 1 times 0 is going to be 0. 1 times 2 is going to give me 2. 1 times 3, and so on. So I'm going to just fill the rest of this chart out using the identity property to complete the chart. Now let's take a look at part B. Nan uses the 0 property to find the products of 8 times 0 and 0 times 9. Use the 0 property to find the other products. Now we can remember that the 0 property means that the product of any number and 0 is always going to be 0. So whenever you multiply 0 by, it's always going to give us the answer of 0. So we can see that that Nan, she said that she multiplied 8 by 0, and then she put in the product 0 here. She also multiplied 0 times 9, and then she put in the product right here, which was 0. So what we're going to do is we're going to, just like we did with the identity property, we're going to complete this chart using the 0 property. And so you're welcome to pause and come back and try it on your own, or just follow along with me. So we'll start here. We have 0 times 0. So 0 times 0 is going to make 0. Nothing times nothing makes nothing. Then we're going to take 0 times, we already have 0 times 1 filled in, so we'll move on to 0 times 2, and that's going to be nothing. 0 times 3 is nothing. And again, using the 0 property, I know that all of these, no matter what we multiply 0 with, it's going to be 0. And so I've done that horizontally. Now I'm going to do that vertically. 0 times 2 is 0. 0 times 3 is 0. So I can put in all these zeros in the chart because I am demonstrating that anything times 0 is going to give me the product of 0, and that's the 0 property. Okay, our next part asks us to complete the columns for 3 and 4. So we're going to just do that first. And so we have column 3 here. And some of column 3 has been completed. Like we have 3 times 0, 3 times 1 have been completed horizontally. So now we need to do 3 times 2, and that would be 6. We're just adding 3 more to that product that was before it. And then we're going to do the next one, 3 times 3. So we know that that is 9, but you could also add 3 to the 6 that was next to it. And we're just going to keep going, adding 3 to each number that is being multiplied here. So 3 times 4, that would be 12. So you're welcome to pause the video and complete this chart. Or you can follow along. So 3 times 5 makes 15. 3 times 6, that's 3 more than 15, so that would be 18. 3 times 7, and that would be 21. And 3 times 8 is 24. And 3 times 9 is 27. 3 times 10 is 30. And the great thing is that now we've done this horizontally. We can go to the 3 up here, and some of it's already filled in for us, but we already have all of the numbers. So that's going to help me fill in this chart quickly. 3 times 2 is 6, and then we knew this 3 times 3 is 9, and 3 times 4 is 12. Again, if you're following along and you're ready to pause this and try it on your own, you can do that and come back. I'm just filling in all of the numbers that I have here. 3 times 7, we already did that. It was 21. 3 times 8, that's 24. 3 times 9. I'm just filling in what we already know here. Okay, then it also asks us to do the same thing for the 4's column. So I'm going to switch colors here to try to make that a little easier. Okay, so now we have column 4. And again, some of it's already filled in for us. So we need to know what 4 times 2 is, and that is 8, which would be 4 2 times. And then we already have 4 times 3. We need 4 times 4, so we can add 4 more to 12, or we know that 4 times 4 is 16. And we're going to keep adding 4 to the next, the product before it. So 4 times 5 would be 20, then 24, 28, 32, 36, and our final is 40. And then we're going to go vertically to this 4, and we're going to fill out the chart. And we can use the numbers that we've already used. 4 times 2 is 8, and then now we need 4 times 5, and 4 times 5 gives us 20. So if you'd like to pause and fill in the chart yourself, you can do that, or you can follow along with me, your choice. This would be 24, 28, 32, 36, and 40. Okay, so we have completed the columns 4, 3, and 4. And I'm just going to clean up the side here for a second. And now there's more instructions on part C that we need to look at. So we did the first part. Now we need to go back and take a look at the other information that they'd like us to do. Okay, it says use the sum of the products for 3 and 4 to complete the products for column 7. Okay, so I have highlighted the horizontal 3 in pink and the horizontal 4 column in yellow. And that's going to help us use these numbers to add them together, take their sum, and make the answer for 7. And so let's take a look at that here. So we have in the first column here, 7, we have 3 and 4. And when we add 3 plus 4, we are going to get the number 7. So we can see that this is a pattern that works in this example. And so they're asking you to just add the next one for column 2. 2 times 3 is 6, and 4 times 2 is 8. So 6 plus 8 is going to give us 14. So under the 2 column, we will write in 14. And we already have the next 2 numbers here completed for us. If you want to pause and check 9 plus 12 makes 21, and 12 plus 16 makes 28, you're welcome to do that. We will go on to the number 5 column, which would be 15 plus 20, and that would give us 35. So we're going to complete this chart by adding rows, the columns 3 and 4 to find the product and put that into the column 7. If you'd like to pause and do that on your own, you're welcome to do that. Otherwise, I'm going to just go ahead and keep filling in the products. So now I have filled in a column 7, and I've highlighted them blue to demonstrate that I completed them horizontally and vertically. So you can check your answers. You can pause this video if you'd like. Let's move on to part D. Nan uses the commutative property to find the products of 8 times 2 and 2 times 8. So we will highlight that here, 8 times 2 and 2 times 8. The commutative property explains that you can change the order in the multiplication equation to change that order, and you will still have the same product, which in this example was 16. Let's move on to part E. Describe any other patterns that you can use to find products. So we want to find the products in the multiplication table. So you may need to pause and take a look at the multiplication table for a minute to look for other patterns. Here are a few things that I noticed. The products of 6 are double the products of 3, and the products of 10 always have a 0 as the ones digit. So maybe you found some more patterns and you can explain your thinking. If you would like to go back and rewatch this video, you can do so at any time and pause along the way as needed.